This may look like a normal Minecraft world, but it is in fact a new dimension! Holy moly! Before we get started on today's crazy snapshot, I want to say a big thank you to those of you who are channel members. You guys rock, you support me directly. Thank you so much. If you want to find out more, click the join button. So this is probably the biggest feature in this snapshot. There are a few other ones, some that I'm actually excited about. But I don't know what else to say. This is the biggest feature. Is not only is this a new sort of world generation that you're looking at, but this is actually a new dimension. So here I am in the overworld, and then I can change my command over here. Here I am in the end. Here I am in the nether, and here I am in this new dimension, which is named use teleport command. Now, I love this new dimension, use teleport command. It's my favorite dimension. Whenever anybody asks me, what's your favorite dimension? I say, oh, I'll use teleport command. Everything starts really here in the single player menu whenever you want to get to these new dimensions at the moment. So click create new world. Everything on this first page, that is sort of user defined. So if you want to change the rules, you want to change the name, you want to be in survival versus some other thing, you can change all of that. Once you choose more world options, there is an import settings button. When you click that, it is going to be looking for a JSON file. In order to get that, you can either hand make it yourself, or if you have a world that you really like, so this is from the Snapshot 20A, you can go in here to edit, and you can see export world generation settings. So this will export that, as a JSON, and it put it in that nice folder for me. Thank you so much. I've never seen that notification type of thing before. That was weird. This is nice because if you have a crazy, not just a custom world where you've edited the JSON file yourself, but if you have a certain world type that you really like, that maybe you've chosen, some floating islands or something with crazy stuff. Well, just getting a seed in the past was what you had to do, and then you had to go in there and switch everything else yourself. So now that's all handled for you with the JSON file, so you can just import that in, and everything will be chosen for you. Specifically with this one that I've gotten off of GitHub, this will, first off, it's like, whoa, this is an experiment. But you can see world type custom, and it's grayed out because it has more sort of custom settings than just the client right here can show off. And that includes that custom dimension, which has all that crazy world generation. Just to sort of give you an idea of what is going on here, you can see in this JSON file that your first area is the overworld, which we've been to. The next would be the nether, very simple. The next is the end. It starts up actually up here. And then next is this use teleport command world. And so you see all these parameters that are set. You can see that it's using mushroom fields, mountains, savanna, it's using noise stuff to generate it. You got different sort of things that it can make. So all of this is all contained in that JSON. It seems fairly straightforward once you sort of learn the hierarchy of this JSON file, and you could easily make a new dimension. So theoretically, all of those crazy dimensions we saw in the April Fool's snapshot, that could be sort of recreated in these new dimensions. At the moment, there does not seem to be a possible way to go through some type of portal to get to these new dimensions. It's all through command line, but obviously this is a work in progress and is experimental. So hopefully that will be coming in the future. Like I said, this is probably the biggest news of the snapshot, but there is some other things like the ability to toggle between a dot and a cross on Redstone. Hallelujah, it's fixed. So this dot not only is sort of like, I miss the dot, I really like the dot. Like the cross made sense, but the dot has a special place in my heart. It's not just a visual change. This is actually a behavioral change of the redstone itself. So over here, I have a dot. And then when I switch it to a cross, you can see that it powers the redstone lamps. We noticed this in the previous snapshot where Redstone changed a little bit. And the behavior that we kept seeing over and over again was that if the redstone looks like it should power that block, it will power that block. So this is a continuation of that behavior, that in the dot form, there is no redstone line connecting directly to any block. So it is not powering those blocks. Then when it switches to the cross, the redstone line connects to the block, and then therefore it is powered, which is nice. You can also use this behavior in a few fun little ways. A sound generator. Basically, this is the same as a switch, if I threw down a switch right there. But, I don't know, it's kind of fun, kind of different. Same thing with this right here. We have an observer observing the difference between the cross and the dot. Observers do notice this update detection. And you can pull this off with a whole bunch of other things that I have right here. So you could have always used a switch to do the same thing with that observer. One of my favorites is the note block. Now, that will change the sound of the note block, but if you put a block on top of it, then you can still click that note block and the observer notices that update. You can use a trapdoor, open and close that trapdoor. You can even use a daylight detector, which is kind of cool. Now, you saw that crazy little pulse right there. That's because of the lights changing or whatnot, and you can switch the daylight detector on and off. And even redstone ore, which I love, people don't realize that they can just right-click on that redstone ore and it'll update the redstone ore. This doesn't work as the others because you have to wait for it to actually update back to this state where it's not like emitting light and emitting particles, but that's kind of a fun one that people forget about. The logo has changed, so if you go in here and you switch your resource packs, you'll see the brand new logo, which they announced. I haven't even talked about it at all, but this is the new logo, Mojang Studios, so you can check that out as things are loading up. Although this is still here, completely broken. Fix your game, Mojang. Inside of Basalt Delta, the chance of getting some type of ore has been increased. It's mentioned in the blog post that this is to offset the fact that you have a reduced amount of netherrack in these Basalt Deltas, so the netherrack that you do get is going to be filled with different types of ore. Piglins will now stop moving whenever they are admiring gold. Before, they would sort of wander around and look at stuff, which is nice that they don't move, because it used to kind of be like, hey, come back here, you're gonna give me that barter thing that you promised me, right? So now they will just stand still. If you happen to hurt a piglin as it is admiring the gold, then it basically takes the gold and will not give you the trade. So it'll just be like, this is mine. Fishing has changed, but only the tiniest amount. Lily pads are now considered junk and not treasure, which is a change that I feel like is truly, truly needed. I was hoping to get a lily pad while I was speaking about this, but the RNG gods are not in my favor. Let's see. No, not that one too. And finally, really the only other thing other than bug fixes and some other small changes is that the spread players command can now have an argument to decide what height, the maximum height that the players will be placed whenever you do a spread players command. So you won't have someone up on a hill or in a crazy weird location. If you want to set the max height to be, say, I don't know, 70, then they'll only be within 5 blocks of the normal sort of ocean level, which is nice. And that about wraps it up for today's Snapshot 20W21A. I think that this dimension thing is going to be pretty cool. I'm very, very excited about it. We saw an awful lot of crazy dimensions in the April Fool's snapshot, and so if those can be recreated, which I'm positive that they can be, just I haven't seen exactly how to do it yet, that is going to be neat, and I feel like the creativity of the community can really make something neat out of that sort of stuff. Also, adding dimensions just by default is super awesome, because that means you can have a whole bunch more worlds in a single world. And if you wanted to run a server that had, like my server has a resource world, you could basically do that using the dimensions feature, and then you would have a whole new land to go explore, and it works just like the Nether, just like the End, and just like the overworld, which is really, really cool. Thanks so much for watching this episode of OMG Craft. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a big ol' thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe for future videos, tips, tricks, tutorials, and spotlights here on OMG Craft. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye!